Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Charles Coachman, and this is Bay Area Let's Talk. Bay Area Let's Talk. We are going through one heck of a day here in the Bay Area. Beautiful day outside. It's 63 degrees in the middle of winter here today. And so happy to be here this afternoon. A lot of things happening in San Jose, a lot of things to do with housing, and a lot of questions coming up. But first, I want to give my shout outs for the day. Happy birthday shout outs to Brett Bloomfield. Brett and I were junior high and high school classmates. Brett has went on to become a bass guitarist with some local bands, including Jefferson Starship. And now Brett is back in the Middle East, back in the Midwest, and enjoying his life as a masseuse. And Brett, just want to wish you a very, very happy birthday. Wishing you all the best. Ron Ricard. Ron is best known out here in the Silicon Valley and known very well throughout the area, throughout the Bay Area, as a 1031 exchange person. And he is one of the best and has been doing this quite a while. So Ron Ricard, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Ron. And then Karen Arriaga, a friend, a client, one of the nicest people that you could ever want to meet. We met at church a couple of decades back. And just wishing you all the best, Karen, on your birthday. And if it's your birthday out there, wishing you a very happy birthday. Giving you a quick shout out, and to all three of you, all of the best on your day. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Scott Ricard, good afternoon. Is Ron Ricard a cousin? Just checking. Let's see. What have we got coming up? Again, this is Charles Coachman, and I've got to flip through this stuff. You can reach me by calling or texting 408-439-0766 or emailing me at bayarealetstalk@gmail.com, bayarealetstalk@gmail.com. We always like to talk about the companies that help us to go live and helped train us to go live, and that would be the Grow Live Academy, a Ken Walls company. And I couldn't say any more about how good this company is and what Ken has set up for everybody that goes through the Grow Live Academy. Just a great deal. And then StreamYard.com, which is the platform that we are using to go live, StreamYard.com. And then I am keeping in touch with my clients using Hippo Video, and it's an excellent resource to use to send out videos to your clients. You just put them on your emails. They don't have to download anything or upload anything. You just go ahead and look at the email and respond. So thank you guys for everything. And so this is Bay Area Let's Talk. One of the things that I want to do, I do have a cousin, Ron Ricard, in New York. Probably not the same guy. Probably not the same guy. I have known Ron out here as long as I've been doing real estate. So going on 15 years, and Ron is just a very, very special guy. Hey, a lot of the stuff that's going on in the Bay Area. Well, let's touch base on the national first here. We are going into the first full day of the impeachment. Once they've decided to go ahead and have this trial, once they decided that, yes, it was legal to do that and lawful to do it, we are doing that. So here is the first day. I haven't watched a minute of it, so not sure what's going on, but I'm sure there is a lot of talk about all the horrible things that President Trump has done over his last 4 years, and especially on my birthday, January 6th. What a birthday present that was. So I hope that everything is going well. I hope everyone gets their 2 cents in. And after 5 years of pounding on President Trump, let's put an end to this. Let's get it in there one way or the other. Let's see if there's any more Republicans that are going to decide to go ahead and find him guilty of these charges and make sure that he's never able to get into another type of official office other than running a billion-dollar company. Okay, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, and one of the big headlines in San Jose is talking about opportunity housing. Opportunity housing. And that is where they are going to be looking at no longer allowing single-family homes in San Jose. You are going to be building duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and you are going to mix them into the neighborhoods where there are single-family homes. If there's an open spot, if there is a lot that's available, why not build a duplex? Why not build that triplex? Why not build that fourplex? There's some good things about that. It's going to bring some lower housing in. But what's it going to do to affect neighborhoods right now that everything is single-family homes, and then you start putting in duplexes to fourplexes? We don't know. And that's a big answer. Now, if you wanted to be building more of those type of homes, then do them. But is it the right thing to mix them in the neighborhoods? Is it okay to mix in fourplexes where you've got single-family homes? That's a big question. Everyone says, well, we're going to have to think about this. But they are thinking about it while they are saying, we are not going to allow single-family homes to be built. That will be part of the process, is that single-family homes will no longer be built in San Jose. I understand that has happened in other cities in California. Other cities in California are doing that. Is it the right thing for San Jose? And that's a question that we have to answer. We have to answer. Along with that, we are being told, and I'm going to discuss this more tomorrow on my real estate show, but we are telling more folks, and there's ideas that maybe we let the state buy lands and properties and then let the state build the homes, and the taxpayers will just pay for it with their additional taxes, and let the state handle lower priced homes. But where are they going to put them? That's a question that's got to be answered. Now, this is something that was proposed, let's see, by a lawmaker out of San Jose, and I just can't remember, Alex Lee. He's an assembly member. And so they're taking a look, and they named a couple of different countries where they're doing this now and how well it's worked out for them. See if I can find those. But they're saying, take a look at what these countries are doing. Well, our country's a little bit different than most of the other countries. And the countries that they named, I am certain that the taxes are much higher. Oh, Lee points out programs in Vienna, Austria, and in Singapore. And in Singapore. Well, believe me, those are not the U.S. Those are not the U.S. And what does it mean for the everyday taxpayer? It means more taxes. More taxes. Is that what we want? Are we going to go ahead and pay for governmental housing? Are we going to subsidize governmental housing where people will only have to pay a small amount? And these aren't homes where they're going to be transitional. These are going to be homes that people are going to be able to live in for a good long time. I don't know. I don't know. Hey, we have to do something, and I've got another story to talk about tomorrow about tiny housing that's going on in San Jose. We've opened up another area in that, but there's a lot of questions. San Jose is an expensive place. The whole entire Bay Area is an expensive place to live. In San Jose, median priced homes are 1.2 million. $1,200,000 for a median price home. Now you're going to put in duplexes and fourplexes in there, threeplexes, possibly sixplexes, who knows? And you're going to change what the neighborhood is. And a lot of people are afraid that it's going to drive the price of those neighborhoods down. That's one thing that we can bet on. The best neighborhoods in San Jose will not be getting those duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes built in their neighborhoods. The neighborhoods where they have 1.5 to 2.5 or to $4 million homes, they will not be getting triplexes or duplexes or fourplexes. There'll be no plexes in those neighborhoods. So that's something that we have to take a look at. And that's something that we have to understand. Taking a look at California, we are always trying to do new things when it comes to criminal justice. Criminal justice, and it's one of the things that we have to address now. We have let an awful lot of prisoners out of our prisons over the last 5 years, over the last 6 to 7 years. Because during the Obama administration, the state was being sued by the U.S. Attorney General to lower the prison population. So we put in laws that our prison populations were going to be lowered, which has increased crime throughout the state, in almost every city in our state and every county in our state. Our crimes have increased since these laws were put into effect. Now there is another law that's being asked to be considered by one of our state senators, Dave Cortese, out of San Jose. And this is one that's going to affect people that have been given life without parole. This is for people that have committed crimes where somebody has ended up dead. And although they may not be the person that either fired a bullet or stabbed the person, they were part of the crime that caused this person to die. And now a lot of people are saying, well, hey, he didn't do it or she didn't do it. Why should they get lifetime parole? Why should they be in jail for the rest of their lives without an opportunity for parole? Well, number one is you took part in a crime that killed somebody. You may not have fired the shot. You may not have stabbed the person. You may not have hit the person with a bat or a crowbar, but you were part of the crime in progress that led to this person's death. And so that's a question that, hey, we are going to have to really look at with a hard eye and see if this is something that we want to do. When a person didn't actually commit the crime, but he was part of the overall crime, do we hold them to the same standard? Do we hold them to the same standard as the person that actually committed the crime? I guess a good way to look at it, not a good way to look at it, but you can look at it from a national point of view. How are the officers in Minneapolis are going to be held when one officer put his knee on the neck of a civilian, and the civilian died where there were 3 other officers around. Should those other 3 officers be charged just like the officer that did the killing? Even though they were telling him, hey, maybe we should pull off him. Maybe you should get off. Let's give him a chance to breathe. I don't know. A crime was commissioned. It wasn't planned out, but it did happen. But here in California, it's another way to open up our jail systems. We have got state district attorneys or district attorneys for different cities that are refusing to prosecute crimes now. And in LA, it was huge. This person was saying, we are not prosecuting these crimes. And his own DAs, his own assistant DAs went to court and filed a lawsuit against him. And it was upheld for those assistant DAs. That the judge told the district attorney, you are in place to uphold the law. What other choice do you have? You are the leading officer, and you're not going to charge for crimes. We've got the 3 strikes penalty in California. It has been modified. And this person said, we're not charging anyone with any crimes that they've committed when it's going to lead to a 3rd strike. What are we going to do there? We've got attorney generals. We've got district attorneys that will not follow the law. How do we adjust that? How do we compensate for that? Especially when it leads to more people being killed, more people being assaulted. How do we do that? How do we do it? I don't know. Sometimes I'm a little confused when it comes to this stuff, but I know that there is ways that you're supposed to handle things. And if you are the leading law officer, you need to do what the law calls. San Jose police are introducing less lethal weapons in place of guns and rubber bullets. We are going to become a city. We're a big city. We're, I don't know, number 11 or 12 in the U.S. And we do have crime. We've got more crime now than I remember in many, many years. And it's a sad thing. But our city council, those running the city council, are wanting us to do things where we're going to have less police killings. And we're all for that. We are all for that. But what is the right way? We've got to go through, take a look at all the districts in the U.S. We got to take a look at all the big cities in the U.S., find out what we are doing. But we cannot follow what New York City is doing. We cannot follow what Los Angeles is doing. We cannot follow what Seattle and Portland are doing, or we're going to end up with the same mess that they have. We've got to understand we don't want to be killing our citizens. But you know what? If you are committing a crime and you are putting an officer in danger, you may have forfeited your life. You may have forfeited your life. Now, certainly, we want to bring in and we want to save as many people as we can. We do not want to see unnecessary killings by police. So figure that out. Do not defund our officers. Do not put our officers in a place where they can be killed themselves. It's a dangerous enough job. We've got less respect for officers than I've seen at any time in my life. And I'm not for that. And I never will be for that. So San Jose, it's time to fix some things up. It's time to really address this. Here we are without a chief of police. We've got to figure this out. We got to do what's right for our community, not what's right for the criminals. We take a look at the whole ball. We want to make sure that we are doing what's right for the community. We have bent over so far in this last decade that we've made unsafe communities within San Jose. Within San Jose. And we've got to take a look at it. You know, one of the things about California is a few years back, we voted to make English our language. This was an English-only state. And we have in our school districts now, we have bilingual programs, mostly set up for Hispanics. And my wife was a school teacher here in San Jose. And the kids don't get the feedback or the help that they need from their parents because a lot of them do not understand English. Instead of making more Spanish-speaking schools, why not help their parents to learn English? But now we are celebrating learning Vietnamese. Now we've got a immersion program where they're teaching Vietnamese. I am not for the Spanish immersion, and I'm certainly not for the Vietnamese immersion. If you want to have, you want to keep your culture, then you should create your own schools after they're getting through the public schools. Keep your cultures separate. For a person to truly be successful in the U.S., they need to learn how to speak English so they can get amongst all communities and have a better opportunity to succeed. That's just my thoughts on that. And I have been hardcore with that because we are watching in the Alum Rock School District, we are watching school after school close only to be reopened as Spanish-only schools. That doesn't make sense to me. That does not make sense to me when you are living in the U.S. and the primary language is English, American English. We're making mistakes, and we are going to keep putting people behind the 8 ball unless we understand that we all need to be able to speak English. That is our primary language for our country. And I don't care how many countries people are coming from, but you know what? Our language here is English, and people should have to learn how to speak English. That's racist. No, it's not. That's reality. To be successful in California and to be successful in the United States, you need to speak English. Or you limit your success for the future. And that's truly the way it is. Well, it's that time of day. This day in rock. This day in rock. What's happening today in rock? There is a lot of stuff that happened on this day in rock. 1937, on this date, Don Wilson of the Ventures, a guitarist with the Ventures, was born. They had a song that was really, really good. and it was called Walk Don't Run. If you like the early surf music, you'll recognize that song right away. Just flip it on YouTube and take a look. On this date in 1939, Roberta Flack was born. And she had a couple of huge hits. The First Time I Ever Saw Your Face, The First Time I Ever Saw Your Face, Killing Me Softly, and then she had a dynamite duo with Donny Hathaway, Where Is the Love? So happy birthday, Roberta Flack. In 1942, this is getting back in time. This is Glenn Miller. He became the first person awarded a gold record for his song Chattanooga Choo Choo. Chattanooga Choo Choo by Glenn Miller. Born on this day, Nigel Olsson, drummer with Elton John. Has been drumming with the Elton John band for as long as I can remember. I believe that he's still the drummer, if Elton has yet to unretire. On this day in 1956, Little Richard recorded Long Tall Sally. Just one of the greatest songs and a true rock and roll song. Little Richard, 1956. In 1958, Frank Sinatra went #1 on the U.S. album charts with Come Fly With Me. Come Fly With Me. In 1962, we're getting a lot of different music today. Henry Mancini went #1 on the U.S. album chart with the soundtrack from Breakfast at Tiffany's. On this day, born on this day, Cliff Burton, who was a bass player with Metallica. He was unfortunately killed on September 27th, 1987, when the band's bus was in a crash. They were traveling between Stockholm and Copenhagen. So rest in peace, Cliff Burton. In 1964, on this date, in the wake of last night's appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, the Beatles have become an overnight sensation. Elvis Presley sends them a telegram of congratulations, and they hold a press conference at the Plaza Hotel. On this date in 1966, Bob Marley married Rita Anderson, who was part of the group The Soulettes, and they had 3 children together. Bob Marley, one of the greatest reggae singers and musicians of all time. 1967, the Beatles are continuing to record A Day in the Life for their Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album. The Four Tops, on this date in 1968, have released their greatest hits album, and it has went #1 in the UK. (1970) in this date, and this is one of my favorites. 1970 in this date, Sly and the Family Stone, one of the best rock and roll, funk, disco bands of all time. Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again. And Everybody Is a Star went #1. Went #1. And they have continued just to be an awesome band. If you want to go back and take a look at a funk band that came out, take a look at Sly Stone. And he did everything himself. He became a record producer for people. He was a DJ. He worked in record stores. He was trying to learn everything about the music business, and he put together one of the greatest bands of all time. They were amazing. 1971, on this date, Carole King released her album Tapestry. And it became one of the greatest selling albums, the biggest selling albums of all time. And this would have been a day after her birthday, because yesterday was her birthday. In 1973, on this date, British Rail, which was due to demolish Liverpool's cavern to build a subway station, they gave the Cavern Club a stay of execution. Cavern Club opened many years later, reopened, and it's still open today. This date in 1973, Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player by Elton John. That album went to number one in 1973, and was there for six weeks. 1976, Dream On from Aerosmith's debut album is re-released as a single and gets to number 6. Re-released because I believe the original album, I think it was Toys in the Attic, was released in 1972, 1973. So, Dream On is re-released and it goes to number 6. Here was something I didn't remember. 1976, Elvis Presley was made a police reserve for the Memphis Police. Hey, Elvis was a good guy, but you know, he was also kind of a druggie, using drugs to go to sleep, using drugs to wake up, partying all hours. And he basically killed himself because of his overuse of drugs. Probably not the best choice for the Memphis Police to have as a reserve, but I guess just having Elvis's name, having that picture taken with Elvis, was well worth the price. On this date in 1977, one of my favorite bands going into the punk / new wave era, The Clash, began recording its first album at CBS Studios in London. And then, of course, one of their biggest albums was London Calling. In 1978, Dire Straits released their single, Sultans of Swing. That song I fell in love with. The first time I heard it, I'm going, these guys are awesome. I've really never heard anything like them. And they were terrific. I just absolutely loved it. In 1979, on this date, Rod Stewart goes to number 1. Do you think I'm sexy? No, Rod, I really don't. But the song went to number 1. In 1980, it got a little worse, but I still like the song. Captain and Tennille, Do That to Me One More Time, also went to number 1. And this one, 1984, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, number 1 on the UK charts with Relax. Relax. That was a funky little album. Not my type of music, but a lot of people loved it. This date in 2005, Prince topped the Rolling Stones magazine annual list of the top money earners for their tours. He earned over $90 million in 2005 for his, what was the tour called? I can't even remember. But he grossed over $90 million. I think he did okay until 2016. Rest in peace, Prince. Amy Winehouse in 2008 won 5 Grammy Awards. Her biggest song was Rehab. And she later died from her alcohol and drug use. Rehab, her best-selling single. And in 2008, Jack Johnson went to #1 with his Sleep Through the Static. It went to #1 in the UK, the US, and Australia. And that is today's This Day in Rock. Wishing everyone all the best. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. Take a quick look here. I agree. My wife came from Panama and she made it a priority to learn English. Scott, my wife and I, my wife especially, because she was a school teacher and she had so many problems trying to get the Spanish-speaking students to really grasp what was going on. She was just in first grade, but when you can't hit the first grade level because your parents, a lot of their parents didn't know English and didn't force English, or not force English, but help their children after school. And my wife worked with kids every single day to get kids to understand and to get a little bit better at it, and to see if there were other family members that could help out. And there was a lot of pushback. So much pushback that they started turning classes into all Spanish classes, which wasn't going to help anybody. And it's a sad thing. But now they're saying, you got to help us to keep our culture alive. No, you are part of the American culture now, and you need to work on establishing and keeping your old culture, your Hispanic culture, your Vietnamese culture, your Chinese culture, whatever culture it is, you need to keep it parallel. But in schools, we should be learning English so that all kids are learning together, so that we don't have to continue with the segregation of students and our population. That's why we've got all these, let's say, tribes together in certain areas of the country, where one neighborhood is this, one neighborhood is that. Oh, and then there's the Americans there, and then we've got this neighborhood. It's kind of a mess, and that's not what that's not what the U.S. was meant to be. We are a melting pot. We are not 150 different pots. We are one large melting pot, and we need to establish that and keep it established. But I've got a feeling that with this administration and the way our state is being run, that is through. That I think probably just saying that you need to learn English will be considered racist. I believe that's where we're at. Anyway, wishing you a great evening. If you'd like to share this out, I thank you. If you're watching on replay, just let me know. Put in #replay so I can see that. Wishing you a very good night. We are going to be back on tomorrow morning at 6 with our Bible study, and I look forward to seeing you then. Have a great evening. Scott, especially you. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.